Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, well, we do a deep dive into 2025 and talk about, well, which sets are going to be the heavy hitters of this year. Yes, we're already at 2025, and we already are talking about the 6 big sets of the year, the tentpole sets of the year, and what is going to have a major impact. What's going to be out there, and which, one is going to be the fan favorite. Let's jump into it. First up, starting off with a Tumblr post from Mark Rosewater that is better known as Morrow, the head designer at Wizards, and Morrow was asked on Tumblr by tporter222, can you share your prediction for the best performing set of 2025? And if you already just look slightly further down, you already saw the answer before I'm going to say it, but Morrow responded, my prediction is Final Fantasy. No actual kind of, background as to why that is the pick, but we can kind of actually read between the lines of some other things as well and previous things that have happened to talk about why that is Morrow's prediction and why Morrow might be right. And also, again, gonna jump into my predictions on this too and what the other sets are and where everything is going to land. So moving forward and talking about yet another Tumblr post asked by Chairs Are for Nerds. I mean, chairs are for everyone, but nerds too, yes. You've spoken a lot about how successful Lord of the Rings was. Could you give us an indication of whether the other UB properties, that's Universes Beyond, performed compared to the other pre-con releases? Personally, I'm really excited to have more Universes Beyond, but it feels like Wizards has only been pointing to Lord of the Rings as a success when it looks like the other UB products were also very successful. Mark Rosewater responded to this. Fallout was the most successful Commander decks we've ever done. I believe Warhammer 4000, I think that should be 40,000, right? Not 4,000 with a weird comma in the middle of it, is the second best. Our top secret alerts are mostly Universes Beyond releases. So, with the direction that Wizards is going, with the direction that it seems like when it comes to sets being purchased are going as well by members of the community, like it or leave it, Universes Beyond seems to be not only here to stay, but also kind of in a way taking over when it comes to some of the metrics. So, there is, unfortunately for those of us out there who might not enjoy Universes Beyond nearly as much as the other properties, the Magic properties themselves, it seems like Mark Rosewater might be right about the prediction that, Fallout Final Fantasy might be the biggest one of this upcoming year because, well, previously we had Lord of the Rings, and that's the most successful set of all time in Magic's history, which is, again, ironic that's not a Magic property. That was, I believe, 2 years ago at this point. Please let me in the comments below if I'm wrong on that. Time flies, obviously, but I believe that was 2 years ago. And this year, again, we are getting three, not one, not two, but 3 out-of-universe full sets. Universes Beyond sets, 3 full sets. Let's jump into all the sets real quick, and I will talk about my predictions on where things are going to land, whether I agree with Mark or not, and just how successful I think each of them are going to be. So, taking a look at 2025, literally says right there at the top, a look at 2025, again, coming up in less than a month, or about a month right now. Aetherdrift is coming out. The spoiler season should be coming shortly, I believe, probably in the next week or 2 or so, so make sure and look out for that. And then we've got Tarkir Dragonstorm. That's right, back to Tarkir, and that is going to be in, April. And then we've got Final Fantasy coming up in June. Again, the first of the 3 Universes Beyond sets. After that, we are going back to a Magic set in Edge of Eternities, Magic IP set, I should say, in August, on August 1st, apparently. Marvel Spider-Man Back to Universes Beyond is going to be in the fall at some point. Not sure on that exact date. And then to be announced, unannounced Universes Beyond, although there is an entire episode I did on what that one most likely is going to be. I will spoil it here, so if you don't want it spoiled right now, maybe jump over to that episode really quick and check that out. It was a couple days ago. Regardless, here we go. The spoiler of that one is, it is most likely, has not been officially confirmed yet, but it seems pretty obvious based on the clues, if the clues are actually legitimate. It is going to be Avatar. Not the Blue People Avatar, but Avatar, Nickelodeon Avatar. There you go. The Avatar, The Last Airbender. So there you go. Although it's going to be Aang, The Last Airbender, whatever. There's a new one that's coming out next year, essentially, like a animated movie, I believe. Not the really bad movie from 2010. Anyways, I never saw that, but just saw the reviews of it. So these are the 6 sets for this year. Where are they going to land? Well, in my opinion, and I set up a handy dandy little way to go about these. Like you got a little like a thermometer on like how hot the set's gonna be. Like, oh, this is like how exciting the set's gonna be. How much players are going to be, buying it off the shelves essentially. How much product is gonna be selling. We shall see. So yeah, that is kind of where that's going to be. And then I've got a handy dandy. Just look at all this. It's great. Look, here we go. First place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place, sixth place. I'll place them after kind of going through each and every single one of them. But there you go. Look at that. Oh, it's so cool. Cool, right? Okay. Well, we're going to start things off with the first set of the year. And that is the one that is coming up again in February. Going to be spoiler season shortly on that one. That's going to be Aetherdrift. Now, when it comes to the potential popularity of the sets, I'd say it's a bit easier to predict the ones that are coming up in the near future because, again, like discussions happen about those kind of, obviously discussions have happened about all these essentially when things have been, when it was officially announced, when that, first look at 2025 was announced and we saw like the actual map of the actual sets. When it comes to like things now, it's like, okay, what are people talking about? They're talking about Aetherdrift. How excited are people about Aetherdrift? I'd say this one is kind of, it's interesting because it is a multi-plane, right? There are 3 planes to it, essentially, right? So we are getting a lot of different characters, a lot of different, 3 planes to it. Is it 3 or 10? There's a lot of planes going on. Anyways, we have essentially, again, we have a lot of different characters, a lot of different scenes, a lot of exciting things. Now, when it comes to like the entire theme of the whole thing being like a multi-universe race, essentially, is that all that exciting to players? I've seen both sides of it. I've seen players who are like, oh my gosh, yes, this is going to be like exactly what I want. I've also seen players who are like, nah, it seems kind of like a stretch for kind of like what it's going to be. So I think that this one is probably on, if I can get this correctly. Oh, look at that. There we go. It slides. See? Cool, right? Yeah, if you've never used Figma and you're a designer up there, Figma's amazing. Okay. I think it's going to be about a 4, I think. When it comes to like the how exciting is this one going to be, how it's going to appeal to players and how players are going to end up feeling about it afterwards, essentially at the end of the year, and we look back like, where is this one going to finish? Like out of 10, how excited are players about it? I'm going to go about a 4. And I do reserve the right to kind of move these slightly. Maybe like a 4.5 or whatever, or a 3.5, depending, if these finish off, at the end of this episode, like even, and I got to move them so I can get, the actual order of first place to sixth place, okay? So I'm going to go with fourth place for now. Moving on. The next set, Dragonstorm. Tarkir, Dragonstorm to be specific. This one, I do think, from what I initially saw people, I think, I have not heard one person who was like, oh, we're going back to Khans, or Tarkir. Oh, I don't want to go back there. Like, that set was just not good. No, like, everyone who ever played that set, like, I came back to Magic, like, around the time of that set, absolutely loved Tarkir. Like, Tarkir was a slam dunk of a set. Players in general like 3-color sets. They absolutely love them. Like, 3-color sets are really cool when they're really well done. And, yeah, there's going to be some really heavy hitters in this. There's a lot of characters coming back. Ugin is probably coming back, right? And I assume Nicol Bolas is going to be back with this set, too. But, yeah, of course, a lot of characters, the dragons, essentially, from it as well. I think that in the different clans and stuff like that, I do think that this one is going to be quite appealing to many players out there. Again, is yet another Magic IP set. This one, I do think, is probably, like, when it comes to, like, the actual, like, anticipation around it, I think this one is quite high. We'll see where it fits, compared to the last of the Magic IP sets. We'll kind of compare these in different ways, but I do think this one's probably where it's going to finish. I think it's going to be like an 8 out of 10 on the excitement level of where it's going to finish, and players being like, yeah, that was a really good set, and how well it sells too. So I do think around an 8 or so is about where that finishes. Not quite at that 10, but yeah, maybe around an 8, maybe a 7 or 8. But yeah, around there. We'll move it if I need to, if things are getting tied at the end. Okay, Final Fantasy. So this is the next set up, I believe. Is that August? Was that one? Let me check really quick, just make sure I'm not misspeaking on this. But Final Fantasy was... Oh, no, sorry, that is June. Edge of Eternities is August. There we go. So Final Fantasy in June is going to be coming out. And this one, again, with Morrow saying that... And again, kind of with Lord of the Rings being like the pinnacle of Magic sales for sets, essentially, I don't know if it's going to get to that level because, like, the broad appeal of Lord of the Rings, I feel like, and I could be misspeaking on this, but I feel like Lord of the Rings probably has a broader audience than Final Fantasy does, just in general. essentially, now Final Fantasy is incredibly popular, obviously. I mean, there are so many Final Fantasy titles. Like, one of my favorite games of all time was, you're probably thinking I'm going to say 7. It was actually 10. 10 was one of my favorites, actually. I love that one. Although Titus was kind of annoying at some points, obviously, but it was a really fun game. Yes, so I think that obviously there's a huge fan base around this one. It is most definitely going to sell well. There is a lot of discussion around it. A lot of players out there already talking about this one. Now, obviously, again, there are players like myself who aren't the biggest fan of Universes Beyond. Even if you're a fan of Final Fantasy, might not be a fan of actual Universes Beyond Final Fantasy. That being said, there is definitely a contingent of Magic players out there, obviously based on, sales from all these Universes Beyond products that are 100% fine with Universes Beyond being a part of Magic moving forward. And yeah, I do think that this one is probably going to be up there when it comes to sales. I don't know, like, if I thought this would be like Lord of the Rings numbers, I would put this one at a 10. I will put this one at a 9.5. Okay, it's not going to be Lord of the Rings, I don't think. I don't think this is going to, like, break the record for, most sales out of any set ever. I don't think it's going to beat Lord of the Rings. It's going to be right below that, probably. But Final Fantasy, I think Mark Rosewater, again, usually has a good sense of how they're definitely, they've got teams of people out there, with their market research and that kind of stuff as well. They are going to kind of know, they've got like their pulse on the market of like, okay, what's going to be a popular set this year? They're going to put a lot of effort into marketing that one and getting players excited about it. And I do think, again, Mark Rosewater would know that it's probably Final Fantasy is probably going to be the biggest set of this year. Not to spoil the rest of them, but 9.5, it's going to be hard to beat that. We shall see. Okay, moving on to the next one. We've got Edge of Eternities. Is that Urza? I don't know. Urza, I guess that's Urza's head, right? Because Urza's head got chopped off or something, and then that's just, a skeleton suit thing made up of energy. Cool. All right. Don't know what the plot of this one is going to be entirely, but yeah, lore mages out there, please let me know in the comments below if we got a plot around this one. But yeah, basically magic in space. Space opera magic. That is not Unfinity. So yes, this one is going to be an interesting one where, again, the third and final Magic IP main set of the year. Where are we going to land on this one? This one's, again, further away, so it's hard to, tell what the chatter is around this one. It is going to be interesting because, again, like, you're bringing back some, like, really heavy-hitting Magic personalities like Urza. Like, goodness gracious. And this is the thing, like, where they definitely could appeal to this set more by maybe pushing certain things. Like, if they've got Urza in there, if they've got, I don't even like, Yawgmoth in there or whatnot. I don't know what this plot's going to be again. But basically, yeah, you're going to have some really huge Magic characters in there that can appeal a lot, especially to lore mages out there, to players that have been playing the game for a long, long time, and maybe pushing certain characters, again, like Urza quite a bit. We shall see. But yeah, this is Urza head. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, again, it's like, it's a set where we're going to be having, again, like a lot of characters to it. A different, unique place, again, all being in space. You're gonna have some amazing arts, like I know some of the most popular, I think, art lands of all time were like the Unfinity, like Shocklands, I think, were the ones. So yeah, you can definitely have like a lot of appeal with like a lot of the art styles gonna be very unique. You can bring back the characters. Again, it's kind of tough to know what the chatter around this one, but I do think this one is probably above Aetherdrift, but probably below Tarkir. So I'm gonna go with a 6 on this one. Maybe a 5.5. We're going to go 5.5, okay? So it will be above Aetherdrift, I believe, but I don't think it'll be quite to what Tarkir is. I believe I put Tarkir at an 8, and definitely not near Final Fantasy, but we shall see. I could be wrong on that, okay? Moving on, we've got Marvel Spider-Man. So yes, this is yet another Universes Beyond set this year. I don't think we've really seen, let me know in the comments below, but I don't think we've really seen any, like, real art around this one necessarily so far. So Marvel Spider-Man, though, is going to be, obviously, the second Universe Beyond set of the year. Mark Rosewater already kind of saying that he thinks that, Final Fantasy is going to be the main one of the year. Makes me think that Marvel Spider-Man, while, yes, it's going to be very popular, Marvel is definitely something that, I mean, over the past couple years kind of has been falling a little bit in the public eye versus kind of like the heyday of, which gets crazy to say heyday at this point, but like the Avengers, essentially, and just how popular that was. Obviously, they kind of diluted things a little bit, hint, hint, wink, wink, wizards, that something like that might happen if you keep doing things like that. But basically, being able to essentially, make so many different movies, so many different shows that the appeal of Marvel has gone down a little bit. That being said, obviously, there are hardcore fans of Marvel and specifically hardcore fans of Spider-Man. Yeah, it's a very popular, iconic character that's been around for a long, long time. Now, again, because this is like Marvel Spider-Man specifically, versus just like Marvel in general, it's a bit more again, kind of tailored, essentially, but still a broad enough appeal. Not quite to what Final Fantasy might be. I mean, if it was just Marvel in general, then sure, but Marvel Spider-Man specifically. So, again, with Morrow's kind of opinion on that, Final Fantasy is going to be the heavy hitter. I would assume Marvel Spider-Man is probably going to finish... Oh, okay, let's go with a... I'm going to go with that 7.5, actually. I think Tarkir might beat it out. We'll see, actually, if I put that at an 8. I think I put an 8. If not, I'm going to move it. But, yeah, I think Tarkir might beat out Marvel Spider-Man, essentially, for this. Especially, again, since it's the second Universe Beyond set of the year. Maybe players are a little more tired, essentially. I don't know if they're going to be or not. But we'll see how it goes. Again, we've never had multiple Universe Beyond sets in the exact same year. So... it's something unique. It's new territory for Magic. And speaking of new territory, and I am assuming this, so again, this could change the entire equation if this is something completely different. If this is, instead of it being Avatar The Last Airbender, it is, the final set is, I don't know, My Little Pony. Then, yeah, obviously the numbers are going to be different on where that actually finishes. That being said, with the assumption that, again, watch the episode on this, on how Avatar might be the final set of the year, again, the unannounced Universe Beyond set, and what the clues of that were, some sleuths on Reddit kind of figured some things out, and it does seem very, very, very likely that this would be the final set of the year, and it makes sense kind of with, again, the elements of it kind of being like different parts of magic, and, certain magical things, and different, clans and stuff like that, too. So, yeah, being able to, kind of have those different kind of color combinations and whatnot. Like, it does make sense. It could fit into Magic in that way, and it's got a broad enough appeal, a broad enough audience. That being said, where does that fall compared to, say, where does it fall compared to, again, like a Final Fantasy? It's definitely lower than that, and I would think that, again, Morrow would obviously know that the last set of the year is not quite up to Final Fantasy standards. Gonna fall to Spider-Man, it's gonna be lower than that too. I mean, there's still an audience for it as well, though, but where is this gonna fall? I think that this one would probably be, I'm gonna go with a 6.5. We're gonna go with that, okay, in terms of popularity, in terms of how much this one sells, and in terms of kind of just the player appeal to it, what players think about the end of the year when they're looking back, how was this set, how was that set, what I liked, what I didn't like, where's it gonna land? Yeah, so I think I feel pretty good about that. Now let's zoom out just a little bit to make sure I didn't mess anything up on this, which I very might have. I might have gotten the same score on these. But here we go. So Aetherdrift around a 4. So starting off maybe at our lowest point of the year potentially this upcoming set. But again, there is a lot of excitement around it, but compared to the other ones, maybe not so much. Dragonstorm itself, again, I have pretty high hopes for that one. I think a lot of players do as well. And again, I think a lot of players are excited to go back to Tarkir. That's a set that I think many players came into Magic on as well. Final Fantasy, again, Morrow kind of saying that really pushed me over the edge. I was already kind of thinking that Final Fantasy might be up there, maybe thinking it might be a little closer to Spider-Man, but again, with Morrow saying oh, that one is going to be the number 1, I think that kind of pushed me over the edge of oh yeah, okay, it'll probably get there. So I think I've got that at 9.5. Again, not Lord of the Rings numbers, but maybe close to that. Edge of Eternities, again, decently exciting, but we shall see. Again, that one's kind of I don't know if there's really all that much information out about that one yet, really. But I can see, again, with the iconic characters, essentially, in it. Again, anytime you've got Urza in something, it's going to get some appeal. And again, the different, unique, kind of space opera-type background kind of thing, that is going to appeal in some way as something unique, something different, not just the same old, same old. Marvel Spider-Man, again, being... yeah, I mean, it's a Marvel property that is very, 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 very popular. But again, is it going to get to the level of Final Fantasy even, again, in comparison in the same year, Universes Beyond? I don't think so. And again, I think Morrow would probably know that. And then the final one, again, is an assumption. I'm just putting it here with Avatar. It could be something completely different. Again, I said it could be My Little Pony. Who knows? But it seems like it might be Avatar. And yeah, there'd be some appeal to that, but maybe not quite as much as the other two Universes Beyond properties. So again, this is a year unlike any other year in Magic's history. And we have... yeah, a lot of things changing. And just to see kind of where these things end up, let's just place them really quick. So here we go. First place, I believe, would then be, let's see, Final Fantasy, if I can get this properly. There we go, first place. There we go. Congratulations, Final Fantasy at 9.5. Second place, we've got, I think actually Dragonstorm with that one. Oh, if I can select things properly. Now, I know how to use Figma. I know how to use it. All right, second place right there with that one. All right, let's scooch these over. And then we've got third place, I believe that would be Spider-Man, I think. If I could actually grab this, my goodness. Okay. There we go. I don't know what I did with my layers, but apparently nothing properly. Okay. Spider-Man at third place. Let's go to fourth place. I think that'd actually be Avatar. Again, with the Universes Beyond kind of sets and products kind of selling better in general recently, that kind of probably, definitely changes up my perspective on where things might land. Edge of Eternities in 5th place, and then Aetherdrift in 6th place. I think this is probably where we're going to end up, essentially. I think this is probably where we're going to end up. 1st place, Final Fantasy. 2nd place, Dragonstorm. Again, like the two heavy hitting. Again, if I had to say, okay, which Universes Beyond one is going to win from this year out of all the Universes Beyond ones, it's going to be Final Fantasy. Again, I think Mark has a good eye on that, a good perspective of that, a good thought process around that. So yeah, probably thinking that Mark is right on that is probably the correct answer. That one probably being the most popular one is probably the answer too. Dragonstorm, again, Tarkir. Like, Tarkir is a plane that many players have wanted to go back to for a while, I think. And again, one that is near to many players' hearts, and a lot of exciting things can happen with that one. Again, if Bolas comes back to it, it's going to be huge. So there you go. And there's already been some hints about that too. I did an episode on that as well. But yeah, finishing second, the #1 kind of Magic IP itself set. So I do think that will finish second. Then going to, Universes Beyond, essentially Marvel Spider-Man, potentially being bigger than Avatar. Again, the assumed Avatar set. So again, we shall see if that changes. This would have to update, obviously. But then going to Avatar, again, still being popular, but not quite as popular as the other two. Edge of Eternities, again, the space opera kind of uniqueness, bringing back some characters like Urza, etc., etc. And then finally, with Aetherdrift, the upcoming set, that is coming out that players are excited about. But I would say there's kind of like... there is like this like kind of thought process where like, okay, is like a multi-plane race, like, is that something that really appeals to a lot of Magic players out there? I think they're going to do an amazing job with it. I love the art styles that I've seen so far in the different teams of racers and that kind of stuff too. So I think there's some really cool things they can do with it. I can't wait to see that set. But yeah, I think that one is probably a bit more lukewarm in comparison to the other ones. But still, players are very excited about, but I think compared to the other ones, again, this is all kind of in comparison where things are going to end up. But yeah, I do think, and hopefully I ordered these in the correct way just based on the numbers I put on them. But yeah, I think this is probably how it's going to end up. So again, 1st place, Final Fantasy. 2nd place, Dragonstorm. 3rd place, Marvel Spider-Man. 4th place, Avatar. 5th place, Edge of Eternities. And finally, 6th place, Aetherdrift. So we shall see again. End of the year. I could be very, very, very wrong on this, but I could be right on it. You never know. So let me know in the comments below, which of these you think I'm right on, what you think I'm wrong on. If you think Avatar is going to be the set, again, watch that episode on that one to see if you think it's going to be right or not. If you think Nicol Bolas is going to be coming back, again, Dragonstorm seems like the right place for that to come back. So we shall see. So yeah, I guess Edge of Eternities could as well, right? There's like planes and, we shall see. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.